It's a song by Srila Narottam Thakur Mahashaya, Istadeva Vigyapti. It begins Hari Hari Bipale. Hari Hari Bipale Janam Goinu Manusha Janama Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya Janiya Shaniya Bishakainu Janiya Shaniya Janiya Shaniya Bishakainu Golokeda Pramadhan Padinam Shankirtan Golokeda Pramadhan Padinam Shankirtan Ratina Janme Lokenetai Ratina Janmilo Kenetai Shangshad Bishanale Dibbanisha Kiya Jale Judaite na koinu upai Judaite Judaite na koinu upai Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Shuddha Hoilo She Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Shuddha Hoilo She Balarama Hoilo Nitai Baradama Hoilo Nitai Dinahina Joto Chillo Hariname Utarilo Tashaki Jagai Madhai Tashaki Tashaki Jagai Madhai Prabhu Nanda Shuddha Vrishabhanu Shuddha Juddha Vrishabhanu Shuddha Juddha Koduna Kodo Ebado Koduna Koduna Kodo Ebado Narottama Dasakoi Nateli Ho Rangapai Narottama Dasakoi Nateli Ho Rangapai Toma Bina Ke Ache Ama Toma Bina Ke Ache Ama Joyam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtatar Shri Srimad Srila Abhacharana Arabinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Iskcon Pratishthat Acharya Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nityananda Prabhu Shubha Abhibhav Titi Maha Mahotsav Sammelan ki Gaud Premanande Hari Hari Bol. You can find a verse from Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, Madhya Lila, chapter 15, text number 43. Madhya Lila, chapter 15, text number 43. Jai Jai Śrī Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaud Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Śrī Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaud Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Śrī Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaud Bhakta Vrinda. This is Nityanande. Nityanande. Nityanande Agyadila Jau Gauda Deshe Anargal Prem Bhakti Koraha Prakashe Nityananda Agyadila Jau Gauda Deshe Anargal Prem Bhakti Koraha Prakashe. You can chant. Gurukali. Nityananda Gyadilo Jau Gauda Deshe. Teamwork.
Nityananda Gyadilo Yaha Gauda Deshe. Anargala Prema Bhakti Hari Ya Prakasha.
There's still time for me to teach them Bengali script. Why not? Matri Mandali. I don't have the word for word here, but we'll explain. So you can see this verse. This verse, you can say, is the root verse instruction of what we'll be discussing over the next few days. That Jau, Gauda Deshe, Nityanande, unto Lord Nityananda, Nityanande, Agya Dilo, Mahaprabhu. Agya, he instructed Lord Nityananda, Agya, he ordered Lord Agya Dilo, Jao Gauda Deshe, go to Bengal, on our goal, without restriction, Prema Bhakti, love of God, Koreho, Prakasha, you reveal, you distribute, you preach Krishna consciousness in Bengal. So that's from Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta Madhya Lila. And we're reading extensively from the Śrī Caitanya Bhagavat Anta chapter 5. Actually, the 5th chapter, it's the longest chapter in the Śrī Caitanya Bhagavat. 5th chapter, Antaka, is 700 verses. Usually the chapters are around 300. Right? But Vrindavandas Thakur extensively describes these pastimes of Lord Nityananda Prabhu's travel to Gaudiya and his preaching in Gaudiya in pursuance of this order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vandayaham Shri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrujatam Shahagana Raganatam Tangsha Jivam Sadvaitam Shabhadutam Parichanushaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shibisha Gangvedangscha Mantara Guru Ajata Shikha Guru Gonta Chadane Age Kori Abondon Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shandavari Prashtutade Shatarane. Jota, we're reading from text 215 of the 5th chapter of Anta-khanda, Śrī Caitanya Bhagavat. Jota Jota Udashin Śrī Caitanya Dash Shabe Korila Ashi Nila Chalbash. He's explaining that Mahaprabhu, we heard in Jagannath Puri, actually we heard how Mahaprabhu had selected Jagannath Puri as his place of residence. Although on his first visit there he didn't remain very long, it was just to deliver Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And after 5 weeks he left Jagannath Puri and went on the South Indian tour. Then he returned to Jagannath Puri after 2 years, and then he established himself in Jagannath Puri, and we were hearing how Mahaprabhu's Antaranga Bhaktagan, like Srila Sharp Damodar and Govinda Das and Ramananda Roy and Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati, sannyasis, they're all in the renounced order of life. And so they were able to give up those from Gaudiya, they were able to give up everything and go to Nilachal Jagannath Puri and remain there in Mahaprabhu's association without interruption. Jota Jota Udashin, Śrī Caitanya Das, Udashin, those who are not in family life. They were able to do that. And then the devotees in the family life, then they visited annually. And we were hearing about that. They came to Narendra Sarobar. And in this way they remained for the 4 months of Rath Yatra, from Rath Yatra all the way to the end of the Chaturmash. So they're the householders. We heard their names mentioned. Srivas Thakur, Advaita Acharya, householders. Bakreshar Pandit, most of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees were householders. So they were residing their residences, their ancestral homes. We're in Gaudiya, in Navadip, in East Bengal, Chattogram, Srihatta, in other places in Pashchim Bengal Bhumi, Kalna, and Srikhanda, and Katwa, and Kulinagram are all mentioned. So they're all householders, and still we can visit those places. We were just invited, if you're, in 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, we'll go to Srikhanda, and to the birthplace of Lochandas Thakur, and Srinivasa Acharya, and Narahari Shakar, where their residence and their temples, their ancestors. So the Grihastas, they came to Puri and then they returned. But those in the renounced order of life, they remained permanently in Jagannath Puri, like Gadada Pandit also. So Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he had been remaining in Jagannath Puri since he accompanied Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri. That was 4 years earlier. 4 years? No, it was 2 years earlier. Yeah, a little over 2 years earlier. He accompanied, 4 persons accompanied Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Damodar Pandit, Mukunda Datta, and Jagadananda Pandit. They accompanied Mahaprabhu. They were selected by Advaita Acharya Thakur in Shantipur after the 10-day festival, after Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas. He remained there 10 days in Shantipur. And then those 4 devotees were requested by Srila Advaita Acharya Thakur to accompany. Actually, all those devotees were in the renounced order. So they had no other engagement, but the householders remained. So Nityananda Prabhu, having accompanied Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Puri, and then remained for the few weeks when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was delivered, and then they remained in Jagannath Puri. Those 4 devotees, that's evident because when the discussion of Kala Krishna Das came up, those 4 devotees were discussing together that we need to send someone to Bengal to inform Sachi Devi and Advaita Acharya that Mahaprabhu has returned from the South Indian tour. Nityananda Prabhu, he made that suggestion. So he had been remaining in Jagannath Puri all that time. What was he doing? Shadai Jopen Nam Śrī Caitanya. All the time, Shadai Jopen Nam, he was chanting the name Śrī Caitanya. What was Nityananda Prabhu doing in Jagannath Puri? Shadai Jopen Nam Śrī Caitanya. He was always chanting the name Śrī Caitanya. Swapneo Nahika Nityananda Mukhe Anna. Even in dreams, Swapneo, he was constantly chanting the name of Śrī Caitanya. Even in his dreams. Nityananda Prasade, Nityananda Prasade, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, Nityananda Prasade, Shai Shakal Shangsha, throughout the whole universe, Agyapiha, Pai, Śrī Caitanya Avatar. The glories of Lord Chaitanya are known throughout the universe because of the Nityananda Prasade, because of the mercy of Lord Nityananda, because of him glorifying. He's the original glorifier of Śrī Caitanya. And we discover that Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, who's writing this, the authorized biographer of the life of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna Leela Bhagavate Kohe Bed Bias Chaitanya Leela Bas Vrindavan Das. Kaviraj Goswami himself explains that the authorized biographer of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life is Vrindavan Das Thakur, the incarnation of Vyasadev. So he mentions that he is a disciple of Lord Nityananda, Vrindavan Das Thakur, a disciple of Lord Nityananda, and he was ordered, but although he appeared in Mamgachi, in Navadip, but he was traveling with Lord Nityananda, along with the other Dwadasha Gopa, 12 cowherd boy associates of Lord Nityananda, traveling in Bengal preaching, and then Lord Nityananda ordered him to remain in the place, I'm just forgetting the name, can anyone remember? I think it's called something, Kedur or Vedur or something, I don't remember. But he remained there, and Nityananda Prabhu ordered him to remain there and compile the life pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you can still see his handwritten Chaitanya Bhagavat in that temple. Yeah. And so all the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which so much is glorifying Lord Nityananda in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Here we're hearing this 700 verses, this chapter. 500 verses in this chapter. And there are other chapters glorifying Lord Nityananda. We'll discuss Adi Konda chapter 9. We'll discuss on Nityananda Trayodasi Day. So very extensive glorification of Lord Nityananda in Śrī Caitanya Bhagavat, specifically because Vrindavan Das Thakur is the disciple of Lord Nityananda and is completely surrendered to his lotus feet. In addition to Śrī Caitanya Bhagavat, it was Lord Nityananda Prabhu who inspired Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami to go to Vrindavan and compile Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta in Jamedpur, where the Bhaktivedanta Charity Trust has renovated the temple, and the opening is on the 1st of February. The festival there. That's at Jamedpur. That's not far from, what's that place? Noihati, which is still a major junction in between Kolkata and Navadip. Noihati, the first major junction you come to after Kolkata, Noihati. So there, Jamedpur, the birthplace of Lord Nityananda, the birthplace of Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, the Leela there, he was inspired in the dream by Lord Nityananda to go to Vrindavan and attain all perfection. Immediately he got up and left. And there in Vrindavan he heard from Raghunath Das Goswami all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, specifically after taking sannyas in Jagannath Puri, and compiled Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. So both of the principal biographical works of Lord Chaitanya were written due to the inspiration of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who in Jagannath Puri was constantly chanting the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Heno mote Mahaprabhu Chaitanya nitai nila chale boshite koren dui bhai. In this way, these two brothers remained in Jagannath Puri. Ekdin Gaushundor Norahari Nibrite Boshila Nityananda Shonge Kori. One day, Lord Chaitanya, Norahari, the Supreme Lord in the form of a human being, Norahari, Sri Chaitanya, Sri Gaushundor, Nibrite Boshila, in a secluded place, he sat with Lord Nityananda, Nityananda Shonge Kori. He went to a secluded place and sat with Lord Nityananda, and he gave this order: "O holy man, now do not remain here in Jagannath Puri and do not return, do not come to Jagannath Puri with the devotees every year. You Nityananda agya dilo jao Gaudiya-Vaishnava, you go to Gaudiya-Vaishnava. Anargo prema bhakti koroho prakashe. And without limit, without restriction, you preach Krishna consciousness in Bengal." And Mahaprabhu is explaining that Murka, Nicha, Potit, Dukito, Jota, John, the fools, the fallen, the low class, the wretched, Dukito, the distressed, Jota, John, all of those people, Bhakti Diya Koro, Giya Shabare Mochon, you go and deliver them all. Now, in the purport to this statement, Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he explains that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he delivered all of the intelligent, aristocratic, and learned people of Gaudiya-Vaishnava. Can you think of some examples? Like? Okay, Devananda Pandit, yes. Some other famous examples. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was the most learned person in all of Bharat. The guru of the king of Oriya, and the great scholar, Vedantist of Nyaya, and all the sannyasis would come and learn. He said, I can reinitiate him in the Saraswati sampradaya. That was the position of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. What a prestigious post he held. Prakashananda Saraswati, thousands of sannyasis, his followers in Varanasi. Mahaprabhu delivered him. Rupa Goswami, the home minister. Sanatana Goswami, the finance minister. The list, Roy Ramananda, the governor of Madras. The list goes on and on. Byankat Bhatta. So this is the style of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He delivered the aristocratic, prestigious members of the society. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu, actually, he was requested to go and deliver the murka, the fools, the fallen, the wretched, the fallen, the miserable, the depressed. He's saying, who will deliver these people? Mahaprabhu is saying to Lord Nityananda, who will deliver these people? But the foolish, wretched, sinful people could not understand the topics of devotional service preached by Gaurachandra. To benefit those foolish, wretched, fallen souls, to liberate them, Gaurachandra sent Nityananda Prabhu to Gaudiya-Vaishnava. So still in Bengal, the presence of Lord Nityananda's preaching still can be felt. Still can be felt. We lived in East Bengal for several years, and this is everywhere the people, Joy Nitai, Joy Nitai. They understand that they got the mercy of Lord Nityananda even today in Bengal. And many sampradayas that are established and that are still existent due to the preaching, the direct preaching of Lord Nityananda Prabhu in Bengal. Agya Pai Nityananda Chandra Tatakone. At that very moment, Tatakone, Agya Pai, when he got that order from Lord Chaitanya, Chali Len, Gaudiya-Vaishnava Lai Nijagone. Chali Len, he went, Gaudiya-Vaishnava Lai Nijagone, taking his own personal associates with him. And now, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he lists the names of Lord Nityananda Prabhu's personal associates, preaching companions, and just by hearing their names, we are purified. Actually, these are Dwadasha Gopagon. These are the 12 cowherd boy associates of Lord Balaram. We sang the song. As we mentioned, everything has its relationship. Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Shuta Hoilo Shai Balarama Hoilo Nitai. And his associate cowherd boys from Brajabhumi, they appeared in East Bengal, they appeared in Bengal, in Gaudiya-Vaishnava, in order to assist Lord Nityananda Prabhu in his preaching. Ram Das, Gadadhar Das, Mahashai, Raghunath, Baidya, Ojja, Bhakti Rasamoy. There's 3 devotees there. Ram Das, Gadadhar Das, Mahashai, and Raghunath Das Baidya. Bhakti Rasamoy, who's filled with the mellows of devotion. Krishna Das, Pandit, Parameshwari Das, Purnananda Pandit there, Param Ullash, another 3 devotees. Purnananda Pandit, who is the most jubilant, Parama Ullash. Nityananda Shvarupe Joto Optagon. All of his Optagon, all of his intimate associates. Nityananda Shange Shabai Korila Gaman. They all accompanied Lord Nityananda. So just when they began from Puri, they're going to walk, being ordered by, this is the great facility of those in the renounced order of life. Actually, the training, here we have our Gurukul training. If you can understand the uselessness of material life and remain fixed in the service of the Lord from the time of Gurukul, remain completely absorbed in the service of the Lord, and never even consider entering the household life, then your life very easy to attain perfection. This is what is meant to be learnt in the Gurukula. That is useless trying to set up a program of squeezing some enjoyment out of this world. It does not exist there. It does not exist there. And in the Bhagavad, Srila Prahlad Maharaj, he explains that Ya prana britta paritushta atmavan siddhat adura nata tendriya priyaha. He's explaining that for those who are prana britta paritushta, satisfied with the bare necessities of life, just keeping alive, prana britta paritushta. In other words, get some prasadam, get a place to lie down. Those who are satisfied with that amount, your prana britta paritushta atmavan, understanding that we're not these bodies, we're just temporarily here, and spiritual practice is the purpose. Your prana britta paritushta atmavan siddhat aduran. For them, perfection very easy to attain. Siddhat aduran, very quickly they can attain perfection. Na tatendriya priyaha, and not so easy for those who are tatendriya priyaha, who consider sense enjoyment important. So this is what is meant to be learned in the Gurukula. This is that, and remain. And then one can, like this, Lord Nityananda and his associates, one can immediately give one's life to the order of the spiritual master. One can give one's life immediately to the order of the spiritual master. This is the advantage of being in the renounced order of life. There is no other obligation. And one can achieve so much in the service of the Lord. Now, householders, we glorify, householders are wonderful. I am also a householder. But everything, what can we do? Have to get permission from the wife. Otherwise, householder life is very hellish and troublesome. This is so not mentioned there. Some of them went and discussed with their wives, and they got permission to go for a month or two. We're just speaking there. This is the Shastrik, this is the Siddhanta. This is why it's encouraged. Avoid this entanglement. Why? Not to be proud and puffed up and just wear the color. No, it's so that you can give your life. You can give your life to the order of the spiritual master. And that is the easy path. Sri Guru Charan Rati Aishai Uttam Goti. This is the topmost path. Aishai Uttam Goti, Sri Guru Charan Rati. Those who have attachment to the lotus seat of the spiritual. Attachment means what? You give everything. You give your life. You give every day from the time you get up to the order of the spiritual master. Then very easy for you to attain perfection. That's why it's encouraged. So immediately they accepted the order of Lord Chaitanya. Immediately. Just like we were discussing about the other evening in the Prabhupada course of Brahmananda. He was sannyasi, and his brother Gargamuni, and someone challenged Prabhupada in the public meeting. He said, "We've gone to every continent." And someone said, "What about Pakistan?" And Prabhupada said, "We are sending our men." And so he called upon his two generals, so reliable. I immediately called them. Go to Pakistan, Brahmananda and Gargamuni. One went to East Pakistan, Bangladesh, one went to Pakistan, And then after that, he came back. It was not possible. There was a war going on. He came back, Brahmananda came back, and then Prabhupada sent him to Africa. Immediately he just went to the harbor and got on a boat. Got on a ship. Going to Africa. And then he got there, he couldn't get off the ship. He didn't have the proper documents to get the ticket back. Who cares? He went to the harbor. They got on a ship going to Africa. How they pleased Srila Prabhupada. So these devotees, immediately they left. And they didn't, from Jagannath Puri, and they left. So as soon as they began the journey, following the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ecstatic symptoms manifest in their bodies. Uncontrollably. And they didn't really know what direction they were going in. Sometimes going to the left, sometimes going to the right. Kota khane pot jigyashen lokstane. After some distance on the path, jigyashen lokstane, they would inquire from the local people there. Bolo bhai, Ganga tide, jaibo kemone. Oh brother, you tell me how I can find the bank of the Ganga. Oh, and then the people will say, "Oh, you've gone so far in the wrong direction. You have to 6 hours this way. You will find the Ganga." So then they changed their direction and they traveled again in the way that the local people had directed them. And after some time again, they were aimlessly lost, but they didn't mind because they were in such ecstasy. And again they asked somebody, "Oh brother, where is the Ganga?" You follow heading toward the Ganga, you get to Gaur-Mandal Bhumi, you get to Gaudiya-Vaishnava. And someone says, no, the Ganga 20 miles this way. Puna hashi shabai chalen pot jotar, and laughing, they were going on the correct path. Nija deho na janen poter ki kotar. What to speak of that? They then forgot their own bodies. What to speak of the path they're walking on? Pote, on the path, just on the path to go to Desh. Pote joto lila koilen Nityananda. The the pastimes that Lord Nityananda performed just on the way, on the journey. Ke Barney Bay, Ke Bajane, Shakal Ananta. Who can explain? Who can describe the pastimes he performed just on the journey? They're all unlimited, they're limitless. Shakal Ananta. Ananta. Henomote Nityananda, Sri Ananta Dham, Ailen Ganga Tide, Pani Hati Dham. In this way, Lord Nityananda, the origin of Ananta, Sri Ananta Dham, he came to the village of Panihati on the banks of the Ganga. So, when you're coming from, so you're coming up the coast from, Mahaprabhu also took this journey, you're coming up the coast from Jagannath Puri, heading toward Bengal, and then the land, it goes in that direction, a little bit down there, Ganga Shagar, Kapil Ashram, down this way, a little bit further to the east. So then you have to turn inland and keep going till you reach Maganga, and that Panihati. You can see, you can imagine the map in Panihati. It's about less than 1 hour from central Kolkata, Panihati. And there, Panihati is such a place that we had Nitya Pravishta Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. He established Iskcon property right there, Panihati, just nearby the tree under which Lord Nityananda Prabhu performed his Chira Dahi Mahomahotshav, Leela, just next door. Iskcon property is there, and a beautiful, very valuable property right on the banks of the Ganga. You can walk down the steps and take bath there. I was fortunate to be able to take bath there with Nitya Parishta Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. And Panihati is a very special place. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always present there. And Srila Prabhupada said we should have a boat going from Babu Ghat in Howrah. It goes on the boat, it goes to Mayapur, and on the way it stops in Panihati for a break. And Prabhupada said that we should do that. As yet we haven't been able to arrange that program, but on occasion a boat goes to Mayapur from the Mayapur tourism, but it hasn't been arranged. It takes a long time. People prefer to go by car. So Panihati is such a place that the Ganga flow in the morning, the Ganga flow, you look, the Ganga is flowing toward the Bay of Bengal. In the afternoon, she's flowing in the other direction. It's amazing. You can jump in and float all the way down, and in the afternoon float all the way back. Because it's so close to the Bay of Bengal that the tide comes in. The tide from the ocean comes in, extraordinary, in Panihati. So there's just a little bit of information about Panihati Gram. And it's such a special place. That's Nityananda Nache, Sachi Randane, Raghav Bhabane, and what's the other one? Shachiyongane. Mahaprabhu is always present there. So Raghava Pandit, Lord Nityananda went to the house of Raghava Pandit, which is just a short walk, 2-3 minutes from the place where, on the banks of the Ganga, where Lord Nityananda performed their Chira Dahi Mahotsav. So Nityananda Prabhu was staying in the house of Raghava Pandit. There's no clock on display this morning. That means we can just go without limit. I don't know. You take it away. Henamoti Nityananda Panihati Grame Rohilen Shakal Parishad Shane. He arrived there with all of his associates. And immediately upon arriving, Lord Nityananda Prabhu had desire to dance. So suddenly his Sebak singers, Madhav Ghosh, Sri Madhav Ghosh, his 3 brothers, Vasudev, Madhav and Govinda Ghosh, that were so dear to Lord Nityananda because they're singing. Imagine that. Your singing is so much appreciated by the Lord that He's calling you to sing the kirtan. What a service. Jahade Kohen, Vrindavan Gayon, the one who they call the singer of Vrindavan Gayon, Nityananda Sharuper Mahapriyatam, so dear to Lord Nityananda. In the purport, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is explaining, they were not like ordinary, mundane kirtan leaders. Isn't that an amazing statement? You can be an ordinary, mundane kirtan leader. But rather, they were addressed as the singers of Vrindavan because they were personal expansions of Srimati Radharani. Madhav, Vasudev and Govinda Ghosh. Madhav, Govinda, Vasudev, Tin Bhai, Gayite Lagila Nache Ishar Nitai. These 3 brothers, Madhav, Govinda, Vasudev, Tinbai, three brothers, Gaite Lagile, they started singing, Nache Ishar Nitai, and Lord Nityananda is dancing. Would you like to see such an event? How can we see? Well, we cannot see, but at least we can hear what Vrindavan Das Thakur is seeing in his heart. He's describing for us. So Lord Nityananda is dancing with such ecstatic abandon, the earth swayed under his weight. And roaring sounds like thunder, roaring sounds like thunder issued from his mouth while he was dancing in the kirtan. And he would when he would fall crashing to the ground, the people stood back in amazement. This is the kirtan of Lord Nityananda, a dancing of Lord Nityananda, roaring like the sound of thunder and spinning and crashing to the ground. And when his merciful glance would fall on any person, he was instantaneously infused with divine love of God just by looking at somebody. And that person also fell on the ground swooning just when Lord Nityananda would glance on that person. Paripurna prema rashmoy Nityananda Shangshar Tarite Korila Aramba Shubha Aramba. Paripurna prema rashamoy, full of the mellows of love of Krishna. Paripurna prema rashmoy Nityananda Shangshar Tarite, to deliver the universe. Shangshar Tarite Korilan Shubha Aramba. He began his pastimes of preaching to deliver the universe. And this is the way he began. Everything is so mesmerizing. It's not that they got there, okay, now let's get the accommodation set up and this and that, and have a meeting, we'll have this and we'll have this and that. He got there and he's dancing in ecstasy, crashing on the ground, roaring like thunder, glancing here and there, bestowing prema on whoever he saw. And this way he begins the traveling preaching program. Shubha Aramba. In that first kirtan, Jotek, Achilo, Prem, Bhakti, Bika, all the different transformations brought about symptoms of love of God. Shab, Prakashila, Nritta, Koren, Apa, just in his dancing, they all manifest in his body. So after the kirtan, Lord, when all the symptoms of love of Godhead were erupting in his body, he sat down on Lord Vishnu's throne in the house of Raghava Pandit. You can still go to this temple, Raghava Bhavan. You can still go there. So Lord Nityananda sat down on the throne and he requested the devotees to bathe him. Just Raghav Pandit Adi Parishad Gane Abhishek Korite Lagila Sheikone. Abhishek Korite Lagila Sheikone. They arranged everything for the Abhishek. We do the Abhishek of Lord Nityananda, we will do. Lord Nityananda, he enjoys. He sat and said, do the Abhishek. So they carried hundreds of pots of Ganga Jal and perfumed it with delicate aromas, and one by one they poured Jal on his head while chanting the Lord's holy name. And chanting different appropriate mantras. Everyone's hair stood on end when they became filled with great satisfaction. After the Abhishek, with hundreds of pots of Ganga Jal, they clothed Lord Nityananda in fresh new clothes, decorated him with sandalwood paste, covered his broad chest with garlands of fragrant wild flowers and tulasi leaves. They made him sit on the ornate Vishnu throne, shining gold draped with flower garlands and leaves. The Singhasan was also beautifully decorated. Raghav Pandit stood behind the throne and held an umbrella over Lord Nityananda. Joy Dhoni, Korite, Lagila Bhaktagan, Joy Dhoni, Joy, 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 Joy. Joy Dhoni, Korite, Lagile Bhaktagan, Chatur Dike Hoilo, Maha Ananda Badan. You understand? You understand? Even I can understand. Chaturdike hoite maha ananda badan, the ecstasy, overwhelming in all directions. Swa anubab anande, what a word. What poetry, Vrindavana. Swa anubab anande, in the ecstasy of himself. Swa anubab anande, Prabhu Nityananda Rai. Prem drishti bristi kori chadi dike chai, sitting there after the Abhishek, being dressed, chandan, the garland, Lord Nityananda glancing here and there. Prem drishti bristi, like showers of ecstasy, just in his glance, looking here and there. Prem drishti bristi, showers of love of God there. This is interesting. Listen carefully. He called Raghava Pandit and he said that, go and find me a garland of kadamba flowers. Boro prita ama kadamba pushpa proti. I am very attracted to the kadamba flowers. Boro prita ama kadamba pushpa proti. Kadamber bone nitta amar boshiti. I always reside in the forest of kadamba trees. Did you know that? Lord Nityananda, he's always kadambar bone, in the forest of kadamba trees. Nitta amar boshiti. I am always residing. So Raghava Pandit said, but my Lord, this is not the season for kadambas. Not the season. And Nityananda Prabhu, actually kadamba, he comes in the Ashvin month, just before Rath Yatra. June, July, Ashad month, June, July, in the hot season. Big, you know the kadamba flowers, big. In Mayapur, many kadamba trees. Lord Nityananda says, go and take a look, go and take a look. You may find some blooming somewhere. So Raghava Pandit, he goes out into the garden, and lo and behold, on the lemon tree. On the lemon tree. You know, lemon tree is a small bush. Lebu gach is a small bush. It's full, blooming with kadamba flowers. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that although from the external point of view, it's not possible to find kadamba flowers on a lime tree, but nothing is impossible in the pastimes, in the transcendental pastime, in the pastimes of Lord Nityananda, which are transcendental to material nature. Now those kadamba flowers, ki apurva borna, what beautiful color. Ki apurna borna sheba ki apurva gandha. Ki was such a beautiful smell. She pushpa dekile koi jai sharva bhonda. Just by seeing those flowers, koi jai sharva bhonda, your bondage to this world was destroyed. Kadamba mala deke Nityananda Rai param shanto she mala dilen golai. In great satisfaction, Lord Nityananda, he wore that kadamba flower garland on his neck. Shuno shuno are bhai, Nityananda Shakti. Listen, brothers, to the power of Lord Nityananda. Nityananda Shakti. Jai rupe dilen sharva jagater bhakti. And the form, the manner, the form, the style in which Dilen Sharva Jagatera Bhakti, he bestowed devotion on the entire universe. Shuno shuno arebai. Listen, brothers, to Lord Nityananda Shakti. So sitting on that Singhasan after the Abhishek and wearing the kadamba flower garland, Nityananda Boshia Achen Shinghashane Shamuke Gaudiya-Vaishnava Porishad Gone. And in front of him, all of his associates are dancing as the kirtan was going on. So this is in the courtyard of Raghava Pandit. So some of the kirtan, around Lord Nityananda, the associates are dancing. Now some of the devotees, unable to contain their surging glee, they climbed up a tree and began to move onto the branches and all the way out onto the twigs. And they're dancing on the twigs. And the leaves, miraculously not falling, dancing on the tree, on the twigs and the leaves of the tree. Something you dream of doing. Oh, I could climb and dance, and they were doing. And the tree, twigs and the leaves, dancing. Imagine that. Others roared thunderously and jumped down from the top of the tree. You know, we jump up and down. They're jumping from the top of the trees. Now the others, they circled their arms around a big tree and uprooted it, crying, "Hari Hari!" And then others, surcharged with ecstasy, they ran to a whole row of the pan gach, shafuri gach, what's it called in Hindi? Or shafuri gach. It's a thin, long pan, and they go into rows. So others, the betel nut tree, they put their arms around 7 of the trees in one time and uprooted them, just like a bunch of grass. And Lord Nityananda was sitting on the Singhasan, watching, enjoying, and glancing here and there. JDK, Deccan, Nityananda Mahashai, wherever he looked, JDK, Maha Prem Bhakti Bristi Hoy. Wherever he looked, he would shower devotional ecstasy upon the recipients of his glance. When his glance rested upon a devotee, he was instantaneously injected with divine love. And he would fall to the ground, not being able to, not aware of the loss of his clothing. Joto Porishad gone, Joto Porishad, Nityananda Pradhan, all of Nityananda's chief associates, Shabade Hoilo Sharva Shakti Odishtan. So Lord Nityananda, he empowered all of his chief associates with special potency for preaching. Shabade Hoilo Sharva Shakti Odishtan. They were empowered by Lord Nityananda with Sharva Shakti. So anyone who they touched, this is the preaching of Lord Nityananda's Pradhan, Bhaktagan, that they would touch people just by touching them. Anyone who was touched by the hands forgot everything and became overwhelmed in ecstasy. Imagine that, if you preach like that, go on Sankirtan, hey, bro, put your hand on his shoulder. Hey, he forgets everything about his material life just by the touch of the Sankirtan preacher. Anyway, what can I say? Well, I also was fortunate to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books in my younger days on the streets of the western cities of this world. And sometimes it was an arduous task, and the people are so absorbed in materialistic life, they have no respect for a devotee. They have no respect. Somehow or other you have to stop them. Somehow or other get them to take the book. Somehow or other get them to have some interest, and somehow or other to hand over some money. So the only way, in my experience of book distribution, the only way you could be successful was by praying to Lord Nityananda. That was the only way, because he is the chief preacher of Krishna consciousness. And it's his business and his mission and his work. So simply try to become the instrument of Lord Nityananda. Shabai hola sharva shakti odishtan. And you can similarly be empowered to spread Krishna consciousness because it's the desire of Lord Nityananda. A Rupe, in this way, A Rupe, this way, every day this program was going on. A Rupe, Panihati Grame, 10 Mash, for 3 months. Nityananda Prabhu Kore Bhakti Bilash. His pastimes in Panihati for 3 months. What a place. His pastimes is there simply for preaching. Because with Glories of Navadip cannot be properly extolled, but Here he's going simply on the order of Lord Chaitanya, and he's simply there preaching. So it's a special environment, a special place, a special mood. For 3 months. Now it's not possible to describe, Vrindavan Das Thakur is mentioning that the Vedas cannot fully describe in detail the activities that went on in Panihati. What Lord Nityananda Prabhu did in half an hour, it's practically impossible for anyone to narrate exhaustively. His time was so much filled up with the activities of preaching Krishna consciousness. So one time, Lord Nityananda, he desired to dress himself. He desired to dress himself in ornaments and fine dress. So just say, oh my Sahasra, Dandavat Pranam, Namaskar, Ami Janai, the pujaris of Iskcon, Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta Attapur temple. The dressing every day is so beautiful. I'm astonished every day, such a high standard of deity worship. I'm astonished every day. The dressing, how they manage every day. Beautiful garlands, beautiful dress. The Lord swinging and dancing every day. So how much Lord Nityananda is pleased. He desired to dress himself in ornaments and fine dress. Ichamatro Sharba Alankar Śrī just by his desire, all the ornaments Sharba Alankar Śrī at that very moment, Upashan like Upanishad, come close, Upashan, Ashiya, Hoilo, Bidamane, they all just appeared there. All the treasured ornaments and fine clothing. Attractive ornaments. People came and just gave. Attractive ornaments made of gold, silver, various precious stones like diamonds, emeralds, corals, fine silk cloth, and pearl necklaces. So the Lord was trying on all the different ornaments with a wide variety of shapes and designs that no one had ever seen before. Gold ornaments studded with pearls, emeralds, rubies, gold intricately worked upon to give exquisite designs. He wore beautiful rings on his 10 fingers, a ring on every finger. Brilliant necklaces of priceless gems on his neck and chest. And for the pleasure of Maheshar, a gold and silver necklace set with Rudraksha beads. As he moved, the light set afire the gems with the reflections and the glow. He wore cloth with white, cream, blue, yellow silk cloth draped on him with flowing grace. It was an enchanting sight indeed. He wore beautiful, fragrant flower garlands of malati, malika, and champa. And they swayed as he moved. The fragrance of these garlands mixed with the aroma of the fresh chandan on his forehead filled the air with a heavy, sweet scent. Shining soft silk cloths of different hues were tied around his head to make a multicolored turban. And with flower garlands also neatly placed on the turbans, just like we have here. His irresistible glowing charm overshadowed the brilliance of millions of moons. And he sat constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord. Now his associates, they also dressed very attractively with bracelets, bangles, leg bands, ankle bells, beautiful necklaces, buffalo horns, sticks, flutes, ropes, and garlands of gunja. They're all expansions of the cowherd boys of Braj. So they're dressing like cowherd boys. This is to go out preaching. They're getting dressed to go out preaching. Emoto Nityananda, Shra Anubab Ronge, Biharen Shakal Parshad Kori Shonge. In this way he enjoyed preparing, Biharen enjoyed preparing to go preaching. Janabir Dui Kule Joto Ache Gram, Janabir Kule, on the banks of Ganga, Janabir Dui Kule, on both sides of the banks of the Ganga, Ache Joto Gram, Sharbatra Brahme Nityananda Jyotidam. He was wandering through all the villages on both sides of the Ganga in Panihati. I was there one time on the Panihati, the Chiradoi Mahotshav, and we wandered up and down the banks, and all along Vaishnavas were performing that festival. The whole area is blocked off, no vehicles. You can only walk in there several kilometers. And all along the banks of the Ganga, at different ashrams, different temples, still is such a purified place. Even you go a little further down, you find same area, you find Belur Mott and Kali, Dakshineshwar, famous, probably the most famous temple in Bengal amongst the Sanatana Dharmas, is it not? Dakshineshwar, it's all just in that area. Why? Because the area was purified by the preaching of Lord Nityananda and his associates who wandered there, dressed like cowherd boys. Darshan Matra, Sharva Jeev, Mugdha Hoy, just seeing him, everyone's completely astonished. Nam Tattva Dui Nityananda Rashamoy. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself combined together and manifest Swayam Prakash Lord Nityananda. The holy name and the Lord himself combined together and manifest as Lord Nityananda. Nam Tattva Dui Nityananda Rashamoy. Even all of the materialistic people, agnostic people, atheistic people offered prayers and felt their hearts melt just by seeing that Sankirtan party of Lord Nityananda. Nityananda Shrarupe Sharir Modhur. Nityananda Shrarupe Sharir Modhur. The body of Lord Nityananda is most enchanting. Modhur. Shabade Kripa Dristikorim Prochur. As he's wandering with his associates on both sides of the Ganga, glancing here and there, bestowing his mercy, Prachur, unlimitedly. Wherever he went, Lord Nityananda was constantly absorbed in the Sankirtan. Jekane Koren Nritta Krishna Sankirtan, wherever he would dance, Tothai, Bibal Hoy, Koto Koto John. You cannot count how all of the people, Koto John, how many people were overwhelmed just seeing him going on the Sankirtan. You cannot count the people who were overwhelmed. Even the children exhibited wonderful powers. Children came from ordinary households and they manifested such strength that they uprooted big trees, roaring loudly like thunderbolts, I am a cowherd boy, I am a cowherd boy. And they chanted and danced and chanted Śrī Krishna Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. For 1 month the children did not eat anything. And then Lord Nityananda personally fed them with from his own hand. Yeah. So what can we say? What else can... Just hearing about the ecstatic preaching of Lord Nityananda in Panihati, we can absorb our minds in remembrance of him. Bhaja Bhai, worship brothers, Bhaja Bhai, Bhaja Bhai, Heno, Nityananda Charan, worship the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, brothers and sisters. Bhaja Bhai, Heno Nityananda Charan, Jahar Prashade, Bhai Chaitanya Sharan, Jaha Prashade, by whose mercy one can attain shelter of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll complete way over time. So I believe the day after tomorrow we'll carry on and we'll hear Lord Nityananda as he's journeying from Panihati to Shantipur, and he meets Advaita Acharya, and then gradually he reaches Navadip. And we'll hear his preaching in Navadip also. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Nityananda Prabhu Shubha Abhibhav Titi Mahamahotsav Shammelan Katha ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.